From riverfront expansions to brand new downtown attractions, Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky are on the rise with exciting developments that you need to know about. In this video, we're going to dive deep and showcase the top projects transforming the landscape of the city. If you're ready to see what's next in Cincinnati's neighborhoods, this is a must watch. Let's get into it. Hey, Danny Barron here with the Barron Group, and my team sells about 200 homes a year here in the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, and Dayton areas. One of our favorite things to do is interact with you guys here on the channel, and today we are blessed with an awesome guest, Mr. Josh Rothstein with On-Site Retail Group. Josh is a co-star power broker and one of our favorite knowledgeable resources here in Cincinnati because he knows what's coming up, and half the time he has the properties and the commercial spaces listed that so many businesses are going to be jumping into in this next wave here in the city. So as we intro with Josh here today, make sure to leave us a comment below and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions, make sure to drop them in the comments at the end of the video. Josh, thanks for jumping in with us today, brother.
Thanks for having me, Danny.
Hey, I'm going to throw it right to you, dude. Number one on your list today of things and exciting new developments here in the city of Cincinnati. Where do you want to start?
I think East Walnut Hills is a great neighborhood to start. It's historic. It's got nearly everything that anybody would want to have, and it is on the rise.
And it is also the home of vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance, if I'm not mistaken.
It is. So when you're driving anywhere around East Walnut Hills, you are potentially likely to see him and his whole entourage. But I'm telling you, man, that motorcade, it's pretty powerful to see. It's cool. Regardless of your political views, when you see something like that, it hits you. So yeah, there's a lot going on.
Let's chat specific to development there. What is it that excites you there, and kind of what do you see up and coming?
All right, so Madison and Woodburn is essentially the epicenter of East Walnut Hills. You have O'Brienville and Hyde Park to the west. You have Clifton, Uptown to the east. You've got Walnut Hills to the south, and so on. So Woodburn Avenue is this historic street that has the perfect blend of old spots, rich with character, and then new stuff. So the Woodburn Exchange is a 322-unit mixed-use development that was $55 million. Yeah. There's 15,000 square feet of street-level storefront retail restaurant space. They just announced their first tenant the other week. And then you have all these other cool bars and restaurants. You have Rusk, which is the rooftop spot. You have Mochico, which is at the Sales Flats. You have the Fix Coffee Bar. You have Tequila, which has that awesome patio right there at the corner. Yep. So there's so much happening. Then when you go into Walnut Hills, you have the $125 million Paramount Square development, which really straddles that whole area. But the most recent component of that project to have just come out of the ground is the Paramount Square apartment building, which is where the former Kroger used to sit, and ETC Produce just opened up in the street level of that project. So what was always dominated by beautiful, rich Victorian houses mixed with your average Cincinnati citizen, it's a nice juxtaposition of every type of Cincinnatian. Now there's all this newly constructed product. So it's a really cool time to be in and around East Walnut Hills, and it's definitely on the rise.
What's crazy is all the things that surround that. So you mentioned the other neighborhoods that are right there. There is so many powerhouses right there in that area. So anybody in either of those regions, any of those regions, can access all that stuff, which is fantastic. So that's number one. What are we jumping into second?
All right, so Montgomery. So other side of Cincinnati. So downtown Montgomery. It's somewhat historic. You have the long-standing businesses that have been there. So Montgomery Inn. Everybody knows about Montgomery Inn, the Ribs King. You have European Cafe. You have Village Tavern, which, of course, it's for sale. And then you have this $150 million development called the Montgomery Quarter, which was a partnership between Nair Properties and Brandy Corp. So this is the project that has Kitchen Social, which has quickly become a lot of people's favorite restaurants.
I'll butt in here, my wife and I's favorite.
Yeah, it's a good spot. It's a thriving happy hour starting at 4:30. And this project, because it's brand new, it's shiny, it's clean, it added this awesome stimulus to downtown Montgomery. I mean, this site was the former Bob Williams Ford, and it sits at the termination of Cross County Highway, right into Montgomery Road.
Ronald Reagan.
And they did a huge road infrastructure improvement project to accommodate for the roundabouts and creating the land on which this project sits.
And you hate that while it happens, but afterwards it's fantastic.
Right. Now everybody is saying,
I guess this is what they were up to.
Totally worth it. So it's great that it's there because there's a Dora in downtown Montgomery, which effectively stretches from the Montgomery Quarter all the way up to the CVS, which is plenty of span for walking around with your cocktail. You can go to 404 Italian, you can go to the corner pub, listen to music, enjoy the fountain on the patio. So the fun retailers and restaurants at Montgomery Quarter, Deeper Roots, which I know you like, Kitchen Social, as we said, Brew Burger, Hellman's, which if you want to go get a button-down shirt, which we don't necessarily wear all the time, but
the t-shirts.
There's a lot of cool stuff happening. Now, that project has a Rambler Hotel, it has apartments, it has office, which in this day and age, after COVID, really decimated a lot of office product.
For sure.
To build a brand new Class A office building and have it be filled, that's pretty impressive. It just speaks to the demand of the area.
For sure. And it's funny, as you're talking, as a Cincinnati guy, I don't think of Montgomery having all this new stuff like that. So to hear that's exciting because, like you said, there's a rich history of so much stuff around there. We both know some of the nicest homes in all of Cincinnati. You're going to find in Montgomery. You're getting all these tear down rebuilds in Montgomery. And to supplement that with this awesome retail or commercial or office space right there in the hub, what a revitalization for an already awesome area, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense because the neighborhoods that surround it, which are Sims, Montgomery, Indian Hill, Madeira, this adds a very convenient hotspot for these people to go patronize with ease as opposed to going all the way downtown or all the way elsewhere. So it's really shown up to be a great project so
And
far.
to your point, some of the nicest areas in Cincinnati and the suburbs right around there, but what do they have to access? This is only adding to that, which is fantastic. Let's jump into number 3. What do you got for us?
So let's jump down to Northern Kentucky.
Let's do it.
Often dismissed by local Cincinnatians because
Those
they don't want
to cross the river.
Right, they don't want to cross the river. It's like there's bridges for that.
Right.
So Ovation.
It's a local problem, okay? I feel like people that relocate to Cincinnati, not an issue, but let's do it. Northern Kentucky.
So my favorite part about Northern Kentucky, Danny, is that the best views of Cincinnati are often from Kentucky because then you're staring at the skyline. So at the intersection of the Licking River and the Ohio River is this 25-acre project done by Corporex called Ovation. It is $1 billion with a B, $1 billion project.
It's a big old project.
You have 1,000 residential units comprised of apartments and condos, $1 million
We're talking about
condos.
1,000. That is a
1,000.
ton.
That's a lot. That's a big drop of humans right into Northern Kentucky.
For sure.
500,000 square feet of office. And again, in this day and age when there's ample office space left behind after the COVID great exodus, to build brand new office space and get it filled, that speaks to the power and the potential of a project.
For sure.
Okay. Then on top of that, you have 125,000 square feet of retail, restaurant, entertainment space, which is huge. So all of that combined, you're creating an ecosystem right there in Northern Kentucky. On top of that, you have hotels, you have a private members only club, kind of like the Metropolitan Club, but this is going to be the next iteration of it. And then you have all the ancillary activity that happens in and around Covington that's going to pour into this project along the riverbanks for everybody to enjoy.
To those that would say this is too much, I would like to say, have you been out to eat on a Friday night in Cincinnati or Northern Kentucky? We cannot get enough additional retail and restaurant space to be able to accommodate. You go to a place like Chicago, there are endless options to go eat. And in Cincinnati, it's a beautiful and fun space, but so limited sometimes on capacity in some of these areas. What an awesome expansion to use that right along the river there.
Totally.
Super, super opportunity for a lot of people.
I think the good restaurants in Cincinnati, OTR, you're still waiting.
Yes.
But waiting is part of the fun. But when all these other options open up across the river, which, by the way, is barely a mile from OTR, this is going to be a welcomed addition.
Yes.
So I don't think we're oversaturated.
And there are plenty of patrons to go around.
No doubt.
All right, let's get to number 4. What do you got?
So the redevelopment of the IRS site in Covington, I think, is going to be one of the splashiest, coolest projects this region will ever see. So just to the east of Ovation, also along the riverfront, there's 23 acres on which the IRS site used to sit, which will have 670 garage parking spots, 175,000 square feet of office, 200 hotel rooms, 70,000 square feet of additional retail, 650 apartment units, and for your benefit, Danny, 40 homes for sale. This is all part of a $5 billion redevelopment of the riverfront. So again, you are dumping this whole new ecosystem right along the riverbank. And as I say, and I think a lot of people would agree, if you want to look at Cincinnati and really adore it, what better place to do that than in Northern Kentucky? So it's exciting that Cincinnati's doing all these cool things, but Northern Kentucky is not to be dismissed. And all the forts that are in Northern Kentucky, Fort Mitchell, Fort Thomas, Fort Wright, those are great. Those are kind of the suburbs of Northern Kentucky. But the urban, pedestrian-friendly areas where you can go do that whole live, work, play thing, be outside, be in sort of a tourist attraction, there are 2 new ones that are dropping on us as we speak, and I'm pumped for what's going to come.
Yeah, and I think anybody that's actually hung out in downtown Cincinnati in an evening where it's nice out has crossed the bridge and walked over to enjoy some of the stuff that Newport has to offer and walked back. This is all within a manageable space here where you can hit these in one night and get out and see a ton of different stuff, especially if it's brand new. I think it's going to bring a lot of traffic.
Yeah, what we all experienced with Blink the other week, where it was way easier to compartmentalize this foreign idea of walking across the bridge from Cincinnati to Kentucky or vice versa. Now people hopefully have become way more comfortable with that. I mean, this was all designed to be super pedestrian friendly. There are several bridges that are made to accommodate foot traffic or bicycle traffic. And the idea is that with all these things coming up on the riverfront, on both sides, there should be this cross traffic where the state line doesn't really mean anything. And by the way, Newport on the Levee, which has recently gone through another iteration of revitalization, that's been there. So I actually think that they're gonna get some spillover, some benefit from all this other stuff happening, because as people start to go over there to consume and to spend their money and to enjoy their nightlife or their day life, they're gonna say, wow, Newport on the Levee, like, where is that? I know they have the aquarium, but the view's there. It's an awesome time to be living in Greater Cincinnati.
It almost certainly overflows into all of those areas, and I love that it's on both sides of the river.
Yeah.
All right, number 5 and final one for us. What's the last development you're excited about?
So College Hill. College Hill has long been kind of a funkier neighborhood, but they have experienced a dramatic resurgence. There are several new apartment buildings that are finished. Construction is over. There are all sorts of new tenants, restaurants, retail that's gone in there. Everybody in College Hill and those outside know about Brink Brewery. So that's the big one there. But there are a couple other really awesome restaurants. So Just Cuin, which is out of Walnut Hills. Fern, which is a plant shop. We just listed a really cool corner property at Hamilton Avenue and Marlowe, which is honestly, it's like the dead center corner of College Hill. Right across the street from this listing is Kiki, which is an awesome Asian concept from Chef Hideki. And if you go into College Hill during the day, at night, you're gonna get that whole live, work, play vibe. There's gonna be kids, there's gonna be adults, there's gonna be everybody hanging out. And it's one of those neighborhoods that has kind of sprouted about that's a nice alternative to Oakley, Hyde Park, Milford, Loveland. It's got that cool element and that X factor.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong here. I think of Northside as this destination at this point that people that love Northside love it. And some go to live there and enjoy it all the time. My business partner, Mitch, loves Northside. I think of College Hill like that a little bit. It's expanded now where it's become kind of a destination for some people. And obviously there's people that have chosen to move there. We've sold a bunch of houses there recently of people that say, we want this to be home. But even people that don't live there are starting to go out of their way and say, there's some cool stuff over there. We should go check that out.
Yeah, it's a cool way to still be in Cincinnati, but feel like you're getting out of town for a minute. And by the way, Northside, the dominant business area is on Hamilton Avenue. So this is just several miles up Hamilton Avenue. So it's almost an extension of Northside.
Connected in a really cool way.
Yeah.
Any final words for us on development in Cincinnati? Things overall, Josh, that you're just pumped about that you can't let us walk out of this room today without saying?
I think that I give a lot of credit to these developers. It's harder than it's ever been to put projects together.
Complicated.
To get financing, materials, construction, labor. It's all gone up exponentially in cost. It's way riskier to pull off a development.
We saw that during COVID, right? Everything just ballooned in pricing for
and
sure.
honestly, it hasn't really come down. So the developers that are still at it, they're still getting their projects done. They're still fighting that fight. And we as consumers, we just go when a restaurant opens or there's a new store and we're like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Check it out,
But I think, I'm on the other side of it, so I get it. But I think if people just stop to think every now and then about how difficult it is to pull those things off and just appreciate it and appreciate those developers. There's a lot more to it than just being able to go into a new restaurant and patronize a business. But I'm very grateful for the opportunity to do what I am. And the beauty with you is that all these developments, the commercial activity, it makes it way more fun and exciting to live in these certain neighborhoods.
100%.
And of course, as you know, that thereby increases the property value.
All right, we know you're Mr. Instagram. Where can people follow you?
Space for Lease
Okay.
is the Instagram handle. I love posting about stuff that I'm working on, stuff that I'm not working on. I'm a big Cincinnatian, and anytime that there's something cool going on, I'll probably throw it out there and try and make it silly.
That's why you're here. We love your opinion.
Yeah.
Josh,
I
thanks, dude.
appreciate
Appreciate your time.
Thanks, dude.
Hey, thank you guys for tuning into the channel. If you've got any questions, make sure to drop them in the comments below. We'll circle up with Josh and get you answers. As he said, make sure to follow him at Space for Lease on Instagram. He is bringing the heat with all kinds of commercial development and just cool Cincinnati updates. And he spends time with a lot of heavy hitters here in the area. So if you're interested in Cincinnati, just as much as following the Barron Group, we would say tack on to Josh Rothstein. He is a great follow. And again, make sure to like this video, subscribe below, and we'll see you in the next one.